Whichever creative discipline you work in, you're going to have to use some kind of equipment. If you're a painter even, you're going to have to use paintbrushes and paints, and there will be thousands and thousands of varieties of those things that people will obsess over and probably argue about on forums. So whichever creative field you work in, you're going to have to balance out between a desire for ever more expensive and exotic equipment and whether it's actually helping you to create anything or not. Some types of gear can pretty much only bring a benefit. One of those is faster computers. If you upgrade a graphics card or you upgrade a processor, you're not going to suffer from that. You're just going to have a better time because there's going to be a barrier removed between your idea and the ability to make that idea a reality. But this line starts to blur somewhat with things like lenses or guitar pedals. The truth is that most people who are involved in creative fields, photography, music, that kind of thing, can't help but end up with some kind of fetishization of some kind of gear. And the important thing is to stop gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS, from taking over your life. There's a few recurring examples of GAS destroying people's ability to actually do anything creative. One of these is the "I can't do the project until I get this item" form of GAS. You do see people just doing nothing because they've convinced themselves that until they get this particular lens or this particular guitar or this particular piece of software, they can't possibly create, and it just isn't true. What's happening instead is you're feeling uninspired, or you feel intimidated by the idea of starting a completely new project, and you're finding a way to excuse that by obsessing over a piece of equipment that you probably don't actually need. I think culturally we've reached a point where most people know what retail therapy is and why it exists. There's a problem in some aspects of your life that can't be easily solved, and so purchasing some object that contains the promise of a better existence or a more fulfilled life becomes a replacement for doing the hard work on ourselves that would mean we repaired the actual problem. Gear acquisition syndrome is very often a manifestation of this sort of issue. You know what? I think it's the same for almost every single person. Set a task and actually finish the damn thing. Say, I'm going to make a 3-minute film and it will be done by next week. I'm going to produce 5 songs and they will be done in the next 2 weeks. That sort of goal setting and achievement keeps your confidence up, stops you slumping into that kind of period where you think, God, I'm rubbish, I can't do anything. And thus, it's going to help keep gear acquisition syndrome at bay. Also, obsessing over the next big thing, upgrading and constantly changing equipment completely removes the need to be creative. You're just too busy trying to find that perfect setup. This is an easy trap to fall into because being creative is actually really, really hard. It's very hard to find your own voice and not just be derivative. Even when you do find your own creative voice, it can be hard to maintain it, to keep yourself satisfied as well as build an audience, that kind of thing. And all of that is a lot more difficult than just obsessing over equipment. So if you're watching this because you're conscious that you're suffering from an episode of gear acquisition syndrome, take a small piece of advice. Why did you start doing this in the first place? What was it that made you pick up a camera? What was it that made you start singing, recording, playing guitar, mixing records? Something inspired you and made you think, I want to do that, I want to try it. You need to rediscover that, and then you won't be so obsessed with the next thing with knobs on. Anyway, I hope some of that has been useful to you. If you like it, please press like. If you've got anything you want to say, go down in the comments and we can have a discussion about it. That's kind of why I do these short videos. I think they're really nice discussion points, and I want to find out what people all across the world in all creative disciplines think about what I think, and what I think about what they think, and so on. Feel free to join in the discussion, and also check out the audio and video kit reviews, techniques, and so on in my other playlists if you've got a moment. Thanks very much.